different Belschnickel. Somebody they appointed the Belschnickel. And it what it really means is Belsch is pelt. That means furs, and then nickel is from Nicholas, Saint Nicholas.
No, it's quite intriguing, mate. Actually, really fascinating. But I mean, it's like as you were saying. So I mean, there's a lot of sort of variations of this whole German one, which was there was two brothers, which was one was Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus, or Santa Claus, I think it's pronounced. And then you got Krampus, and it was like it's like, from what the story goes, is they divided the list, so to speak. So he'd have Santa would have the good list, and he'd give his brother the naughty list. And one of the stories goes that when he gives his brother the naughty list, he has to give it him on Christmas Eve. And what he has to do is he has to collect the naughty children before midnight of Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's right.
So leading on to Christmas Day. And it sort of really throws you off when you sort of look at it and think, well, you've got this jolly fat man in red, and he's the happiest bloke on the planet, and yet he's still more than content to watch his, evil brother go around massacring children for being naughty.
Massacring?
Oh, yeah.
Because the story.
Well,
yeah, because the story.
He originally, from what I've heard, Krampus would eat the children.
Yeah, it was pretty much a massacre.
So these kids were terrified of life and death when it came to that time of year. They weren't sure if they were going to live or die, if they were a good kid or a bad kid.
Yeah.
It meant life or death.
But he had to do it by midnight.
Yeah. It had to be done by midnight of Christmas Eve. So basically, as soon as it goes past midnight into Christmas Day, you had to have that whole list complete by then. And it's just really twisted. It is really twisted. I mean, I know they've recently done a few horror films based on Krampus. So I've caught a couple of those, and it's quite intriguing to watch.
Yeah, there's a couple of horror films that I think there's a new one, actually. I haven't seen that one, but the first one I saw was terrible. It's good if you look at it from the perspective like it's a comedy.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one. It was like really cheesy B movie type.
Yeah, that one's. It's so bad it's funny.
Yeah, I think that's funny.
All right, everyone, calm down. We're not that funny.
It's not a laugh in that. No.
Black Peter, though. Have you heard of Black Peter? Or what I was taught as a kid was Zwarte Piet. Zwarte Piet. Yeah. He in the Dutch tradition I was taught, which is still passed down, is the Zwarte Piet. If you're a bad kid, he may take you, put you in a sack, and bring you away, and you'll be turned into a gingerbread man. And then that's what they feed the other kids. You.
That is twisted. Right.
I never heard that one, Wolfman.
Well, that's what I was taught as a kid, man. I believed it. That's what my dad. One time he even dressed as Black Peter, this Zwarte Piet, and he had stuck his hand through the door and he was throwing candy in. And then we thought we were scared, but when we saw the candy come, we were screaming. We were so happy.
Maybe is this like a theory of parents scaring the living hell out of kids to actually behave themselves?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So I bet you was a very well-behaved child, wasn't you?
Not really. I colored on the wall behind the Chesterfield, and then I pushed it back so no one could see it. Till one day my mother moved to clean behind the couch and then found all these. My brother and I did this huge mural. Oh man, it was hilarious.
Oh wow! I mean, it's weird because when you look over where I am, I mean, it's really weird Because, I mean, our one goes towards in the Victorian period where, you know, the one thing, I mean, my granddad told me all about it, which was the whole, once again, it was the naughty and nice list, but there was never any demons or, you know, 6 foot pissed off Santa brothers. This was more to do with, that it was the same guy, it was Santa Claus, that if you was a good kid, you get your toys and so on and so forth, but if you're really, really bad, you just get a whole sack full of coal.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it could be horse shit. The coal is just something that they put in the books to make it not sound so bad, but what they actually did is put horse shit in your stocking.
Nice.
In Holland, I know that for a fact. And then after a while, they said, "Oh, no more horse shit," and they started putting coal. But the first thing was horse shit.
Maybe that's where that whole saying comes from. You know, when your parents just turn around and look at you and say, "Look, no more horse shit, seriously."
Yeah,
maybe that's where it all comes from.
You're full of horse shit.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's maybe where, you know, if you didn't get your tangerines in your bag, you got horse shit in your bag.
Yeah, that's right. So you're full of horse shit.
Yep, exactly.
You're a bad boy. A very bad boy.
Unfortunately, I didn't get that in my stocking when I was a bad boy. So.
Wolfman, did you ever get a plate full of gingerbread cookies and think they were your friends?
Yes. I would not eat gingerbread cookies because I thought they were like they could be other kids.
I'm never going to look at a gingerbread man the same way ever again, seriously.
I couldn't eat them. No, and then after a while I got kind of twisted and I just like to bite their arms off and stuff. Let's call you Stumpy.
So what was Christmas? What was Christmas like in like 1850?
I mean, once again, like I said, when you look through like the Victorian period and the Tudors and so on and so forth, we all got to imagine that life was very, very hard. You know, even during the war times, it's all the way through that life was very, very difficult, especially if you lived a life of poverty. I mean, obviously in royalty, and within the royal houses and within the high society houses, I mean, they'd have festivities and they'd have, you know, the whole suckling pig and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, within poverty things, that's where the whole concept, I mean, my grandfather told me this is where the whole concept came from, with the whole getting things like fruit and dates and nuts and stuff like that in your stocking, was because obviously within the poor people, they didn't have toys, they didn't have the money to buy toys and all this sort of stuff. So what they'd do is, as a gift towards the children, was filling the stockings full of nuts and fruit and stuff like this, which is a real shame. But the strange thing is how all these stories that you hear, whether it's depending on which country you come from, are always stuck. It's always stuck.
It seems like you add stuff and it just sticks.
It does.
Isn't the Christmas tree from Germany?
I think it's the whole Christmas tree thing. I think that's just here, there, and everywhere, really.
Well, it actually does come from the Norse, but I think putting lights on it, they used to put candles around.
Yeah.
All around the tree, too. Yeah, so no, it's totally Norse.
That doesn't sound very safe.
It's from the Vikings, man.
How many houseflies during Christmas? Jesus. That's not good. No.
It's from those terrible rebels, those Viking marauders that used to slaughter and tear. That's where Christmas comes from.
Yes.
I'm afraid to say. Well, that's for the tree. The tree, not all of Christmas. Because all of Christmas, it was a pagan thing. They always celebrated a big thing at that time, the winter solstice. So basically, it's all around the winter solstice and the pagan rituals that were done, and the other stuff was all just put on top so that try to get the pagans into the other religious beliefs and try to pull them into the church and trickery and stuff like that. Right, John?
Trickery.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah, you agree with me on that?
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said. I mean, it's so many different variations. I mean, That's what I mean. Within a lot of Norse beliefs, actually, really does fascinate me. Absolutely fascinate me. It's like what you were saying about mistletoe. Every Christmas, somebody sticks the mistletoe up, you have a smooch underneath it.
Oh, actually, nobody's heard me say that. We said that off the air, so maybe I should fill everybody in. Yeah, the mistletoe was a Norse belief that, was it Baltar? The sun god, and Freya and Loki. It was between them, I think. That Loki found out that he could kill. The only poison that Baltar was vulnerable to was mistletoe, and he shot an arrow at. He had someone else shoot the arrow. I can't remember, but he was down for a while, and then Freya, I think it was Freya, brought him back to life, and then it was considered that mistletoe was like a magical. Oh, because her kiss, she kissed him. That's right.
Yeah.
And then he came back to life. So it was, and then when she kissed him, it grew these white berries, and that's where the whole thing about kissing underneath the mistletoe started.
Yeah. It is fascinating. I'm actually beginning to sway more that the Norse pretty much started it all off, really. Because a lot of the stuff we do at Christmas comes from them.
Pretty much.
So, hey, John?
Yeah?
What do you think of the morality of teaching kids about Santa? Did you believe in Santa when you were a kid?
I think I did to a certain degree, but unfortunately my grandfather was a bit of a whiskey drinker. So unfortunately when Santa came in the house one day with serious whiskey breath, I twigged who it was. But I think to be fair, I'm not the type of evil person that would happily turn around straight away. Even with my own children, I would never, ever in a million years say to them that he doesn't exist. Because the way I look at it is whether he's real or not.
Who, Krampus or Santa Claus?
I think both, really. I'd pretty much try and keep it as sweet and innocent as I possibly can. But I think it's
John, do you teach your kids about Krampus?
At the moment, my eldest is only 5, so I do talk to him about it. He's into this, he's into what I do. But I haven't, unfortunately, due to unfortunate events with the breakup, I don't really see much of him anymore. But even with my sort of nieces and nephews and stuff like that, I do sort of teach them everything about everything, because I don't believe in sort of sugarcoating things and sort of deceiving them. So yeah, there has been times. I would never say, "Oh yeah," to a little kid, "Oh, no, Santa's not real. It's a load of rubbish. Your parents buy it all." I think it's more that in everything we do, we always try and keep a story going. We always try and keep a legacy going. Because if we stop saying it to our children, the stories would stop. Once we've all popped our clogs and we're long gone, we don't tell them about these things. The story stops. So I think, me personally, I'd always keep it going. I'd always, teach my nieces, my nephews, and all that sort of stuff about the whole concept of Christmas and Santa. So yeah, I don't think I could do it. I couldn't tell him he's not really.
Is it cold? It's getting cold out here. I don't know if you guys are getting cold, but there's a really cold wind blowing right now, and I think that means it's time for some Christmas music. What do you guys feel like hearing? I got all kinds of Christmas music. I'll pick some. Favorite. This is probably my favorite. Now, I'm not religious or nothing. I just like
was in those ships all three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And what was in those ships all three on Christmas Day in the morning? Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day in the morning. Pray with her sail those ships all three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Pray with her sail those ships all three on Christmas Day in the morning. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day in the morning. Christmas Day in the morning.
You know what? That version is terrible sound. I have a better one. I'm going to play the better one.
Sounds kind of haunting, really.
I just don't like the quality of sound coming through there, and I do have a better recording of that.
I don't know what it was. It just sounded really eerie and haunting to me.
Did you like that?
It's interesting, yeah. It sounds like something I'd seen in a Christmas horror movie.
I've never heard that before.
That's John Anderson from Yes.
Oh, of course.
That's John Anderson from Yes.
No,
From the band Yes. And, yeah, it's his album Three Ships. It's amazing. It's an amazing album. There, now I got a nice, clean version for you here. Beautiful.
Come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. What was in those ships all three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And what was in those ships all three on Christmas Day in the morning? Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day in the morning. Pray with her sail those ships all three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Pray with her sail those ships all three on Christmas Day in the morning. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day in the morning.
you go. Way better version, eh? What do you think? You never heard that, eh?
No, I've never heard that one before.
Oh, wow. Well, you know John Anderson. That was John Evangelis, actually, I believe.
Cool.
Okay, then where were we? Darren, you have some questions.
Well, I was going to finish with the telling the children about Santa. When I found out about Santa, I was the only one in my class that still believed in him. It was really embarrassing. I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade. And I was pissed off.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I mean, everybody didn't believe in him.
I'll bet you everybody feels that way. It's really.
Yeah, it's kind of. How long did you believe in Santa?
Oh, God. I think I was about 5 or 6 when I finally twigged on.
How about you, Wolfman?
Oh, I knew all along that it was all fake. I figured it out right from the beginning.
Wow. See, I wish I would have. With my kids,
I played along with it, but I liked it, but I knew it was all fake.
Yeah. And with my kids, it was a little different. They, I just kept giving them hints, and they'd say, "Well, how can he do this?" I go, "Well, what do you think?" I'd ask them questions, and they figured it out on their own, and it wasn't so devastating for them.
Actually, the closest I was to believing was when the Black Peter guy came to the door. I almost believed it for a little while there. It scared me. And then I figured it out. That was just my dad. He had a black glove on or something.
I was going to ask John about the elves. Where do the elves come from?
Well, I mean, the elves themselves. Once again, it's going straight into mythology and stuff like that. But when people think how sort of these lovely little workshop pointy-eared friends, they're not. They're far from it. Elves themselves are very, very mischievous creatures. They're known pretty much to steal things, and there's certain types of elves that are supposedly sort of harmful. They do attack people and stuff like that, and there's like all these little different stories to do with elves. So it's sort of, it depends on where it comes from. But it's like, I think there was something I saw on YouTube a couple of months back, where there was this little kid playing football. And then the next thing you know, you see this little thing just run across the back. And this kid proper freaks out over it. But it looks like a gnome or an elf. But yeah, I just, from a lot of the stories...
Where was that? Where did that happen?
I think it was Brazil or something like that. I know it was definitely somewhere foreign. Whether it's Brazil, Mexico, or something like that, definitely. But it's not the first case. There's been quite a few cases where these little creatures have been sighted. So but like I said, once you go back into once again the cryptozoology and the myths and myths and legends and stuff like that, is elves never was these happy little friendly
toy makers.
Campers.
So
exactly.
I actually do believe in Santa. I was just kidding, Darren. I didn't want to spoil it for everyone else, but Santa is real. Just to spoil it, Santa is real. John, didn't you say you had a sighting of real Santa?
Yeah, it was on YouTube. It was brought to my attention a couple of days ago, actually, where one of my friends who sort of deal with this sort of stuff sort of brought it to my attention, and I says, "Oh, you've got to see this." And basically, there was this guy in New York with his daughter Christmas shopping. I think he said it was Christmas Eve, and all you see is his little girl just literally points up at the sky, and as he's turned round, pan the camera and someone literally just shoots across the sky. So as a lot of YouTube people do, he'd zoomed in on it. He'd done a part where he zoomed in, and it literally looks like there's 4 reindeer in a sleigh. And I watched this show called Fact and Faked, which is on Fact or Fake, which is on YouTube. And the guy actually
that's a good show, actually.
It's an amazing show. The guys are absolutely awesome. Fair credit to him. But he actually got in touch with the guy who did the video, and he says, "Look, be honest with me, right here, right now. Is it real or is it fake?" And the guy legitimately turned around and says, "Do you know what? It is actually real." But then again, like I said, how do we know? How do we know? We could just be saying that just to keep people happy. But yeah, I mean, I've just been quickly hunting around because, like I said, my wide knowledge of all this sort of stuff is not huge. But luckily, through one of my paranormal connections I have, I've managed to find a load of stuff now to do with the darker side of Christmas for you.
Okay.
Maybe it was a drone. A Santa drone.
With reindeer? I don't know, man. Hey, have you ever thought of whatever if enough people believe in it, and remember Adam Watt, what he said about manifesting with your psi abilities first becomes a light or electrical, and then it could actually manifest into a physical if you're good enough. Yeah. Who knows whether enough people believing in it actually created a real, actual sentient being that is now Santa Claus and flying around in the sky, and it's real. Then that's because everyone believes in it.
Possibly. Well, it's like it's not a whole Peter Pan.
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Well, one was sighted. One was sighted.
Right. Did somebody mention something to do with the 1800s as in the Middle Ages? Because I actually have found out something very interesting to do with the whole Santa thing to do with the Middle Ages. If you're ready for that.
We're ready.
Okay, in the Middle Ages, St. Nicholas was shown taming a chained devil who was sometimes represented as being Black Peter and other companions in Germanic Europe are thought represented the chained devil to first assist St. Nicholas. A devil as a companion can be found in Austrian St. Nicholas tradition in the infamous character of Krampus. Krampus is a devilish-looking beast from the folklore of the Alpine countries who punishes naughty children in extreme versions of the story. Krampus is said to capture naughty children in his sack, carry them away to kill them in awful, grisly ways. A figure like Krampus goes back much further than Christian tradition. It can be traced back to the pagan horned god, which existed in many pre-Christian belief systems. He's sometimes shown carrying bundles of birch branches to birch children with a symbol of ancient pagan.
Isn't that what they made the switch out of, to whip the kids? A birch branch?
Yeah, it was.
And they would also, that Belschnickel figure that I mentioned earlier would leave coal or birch whips or switches in their stockings instead of toys and candy. So, and it gets, it gets mixed up in some cultures. The Krampus figure would leave the coal and bundles of birch wood outside the house.
Yeah, exactly. And also to do with the elves.
Elves! I want to save elves. I want to save elves. That's why I interjected. If you want to switch to elves, let's not switch to elves until halfway through the show. If you don't mind, John.
Got the Norway one. In Norway on Christmas Eve, they hide their brooms because they believe that this is the night when witches and evil spirits taunt the living, coming out in search of brooms to steal from people. Strange. This is obviously the Norway's Christmas Eve. It's really, really weird. They will fly off. Say again.
Okay. I guess we're gonna switch to elves then, because this is where it's bringing me.
This is actually still going in. No, this is still going into the Father Christmas thing.
Oh, okay, because they have something called a tomte, or is it tomte? A Nisei. And that I think it's called a tompe.
But what they're actually saying is that
a tompe. A tompen.
Okay.
And it's a house gnome, and it looks a lot like Santa Claus, but it's a little tiny fat little thing, and there's two different Santas. There's one from Sweden, and there's the other one from the North. There's a totally different creature, really. Totally different creature.
Huh? Yeah, this one has something to do with Babbo. I think his name's Babbo in Italy.
Oh, wow. Never heard of that one.
Yeah, basically, meanwhile in Italy, they have a witch, La Banfa, who arrives on the 5th of January, the eve of Epiphany, who flies on her broomstick to deliver treats to good children, like Santa. Babbo in Italy, she comes down the chimney, doling out gifts to the good, and a lump of coal to the bad, similar to the tradition in Britain of how Father Christmas punishes bad children, originated in the 13th century based on the Roman goddess of New Year. The story of La Banfa is that she missed the birth of Christ, so she makes up for her mistakes, and she will forever visit children delivering gifts. So that's quite an interesting one.
So that's the part of that Christmas that's stuck.
Yeah, in Italy, well, exactly. Yeah, and I just think it's really fascinating that in Italy, their idea of Santa Claus is actually a witch.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, we got a song. We got a song from there. Darren, didn't you? Oh, by the way, it's 12:47. If anyone wants to know.
47.
I was just notified of that.
Number.
Once in a while, I get these 47 notices.
What was your question, Wolfman?
47 threw me off.
Yeah.
Okay, Dwayne O'Nolan from the chat room says, I told Santa I wanted a pony, and my dad said, well, look, there's a pony poop in your stocking. but he must have... Oh, man. I can't even read the rest because I'm laughing my ass off here. Right on. Oh, you poo-poo in your stocking, so you must be full of horse shit.
God.
Oh. Man. Okay, yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, kids. You don't want to get poo-poo in your stocking, and you might get taken away by Zwart the Pete, and he's going to whip you behind the trees. And who knows what else he'll do to you.
Do you know any kids that got coal in their stockings?
I don't.
I do.
I do too.
Oh, yeah. And if they're really bad, then Mama takes a coal and makes them fucking eat it.
Right.
And then they got it looks like they brushed their mouth with coal, but it's good.
You just have to get coal once, and
it's
you'll
good
be
for your teeth.
Every Christmas.
Apparently,
that's a cruel thing to do.
It's good for your teeth, though.
It is. It cleans them really well.
Yeah, maybe that's what it's for.
Should we do another song?
Well, it's coming 10-2. We can keep... I want to talk more about... let's finish with Santa Claus, and then after the song, we'll come back and start talking about elves, because I think that the elves is going to go on. I think Krampus, everyone has heard this already. So, I don't know. If you guys haven't, we can talk more about Krampus. It's up to you.
I want to know about St. Nick, when he lived, how long he lived.
Oh, yeah. We never got into that yet. St. Nicholas was about 288 AD, and he was in like where we would call Turkey right now, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was known for saving. He was born from a rich family, and he was known for saving people and helping people, and he would put little bags of money for people that were in trouble in the community. And when they woke up in the morning, they'd find this bag of money. But and he'd probably, I think he put it in their shoes, and that's how the whole thing about stockings and shoes started.
He'd sneak the money in the shoes.
Yeah, he'd put it in their stocking so that when they go to put their stocking on, they'd find this bag of money in there. And they'd be out, and they would be like they're out of trouble now. They were in big trouble, now they're not.
That'd be cool.
Well, that's what Saint Nick was known for. So, the Protestants tried to do away with all the saints, and they didn't like the saints, and they didn't want to have nothing to do with that. So,
really,
yeah, the Protestant religions. That's why they went Protestant from the Catholic Church. Mostly, why? Because they didn't like the whole thing about the saints. And Mary and the Virgin Mary, they didn't want to have nothing to do with that. So
and all the relics and stuff.
It's true,
religion.
Right, John? Am I right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this is why it's so disheartening sometimes. Where when it's like I was talking to a priest friend of mine, he's a Roman priest, and he's even turned around to me and says, "Look, do you realise how many times the Bible's been altered and changed from the original Aramaic version?" And I was like, no, I can't believe it. But it is actually true, where a lot of the religions, they've turned them back on so many different things purely on the basis of if they don't like something, they won't stand for it. And I think that's a shame in a sense, because a lot of people, it's like I think a lot of the Protestants, is that so it's pronounced?
Yep.
Oh, excuse me.
I should have guessed that. You know what? The answer to the chat room to what I was talking about, I told Santa I wanted a pony. My dad said, well, look, there's pony poop in your stocking. It must have got away.
Oh, God. Yeah, the one you was on about, which is St. Nicholas.
You get it? Pony was in the stocking, but it got away?
Yeah.
I was here earlier. Sorry, he must have left. Sorry, John.
Pony was there and left.
Sorry.
Oh, my God, that's funny. I had to say it. I'm sorry, guys.
Go ahead, John. Sorry,
but yeah, I think it's fine. I've just found what he was on about. The legend of Santa Claus is traced back to hundreds of years to a monk named Saint Nicholas, who's believed to be that of Nicholas, which was born sometime around 280 AD in modern-day Turkey. Much admired for his kindness, Saint Nick became subject to many legends. It is said that he gave away all of his inherited wealth and travelled the countryside helping the poor and sick. One of the best-known St. Nicholas stories is that he'd saved 3 poor sisters from being sold into slavery or prostitution by their father by providing them with a dowry so that they could be married. Over the course of many years, Nicholas's popularity spread and he became known as the protector of children and sailors. His feast day is celebrated on the anniversary of his death, which is actually December 6th. This is traditionally considered as a lucky day to make large purchases or get married. By the Renaissance, St. Nicholas was the most popular saint in Europe, even after the Protestant Reformation, where the variation of the saints began to be discouraged. St. Nicholas maintained a positive reputation, especially in Holland. So there you go.
We used to get a delivery on this. Is it December 6th, the Feast of St. Nicholas?
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up, we'd always get a huge fruit basket with like giant apples and these fruits that we've never seen at the store before. But yeah, it used to come on that day every year for probably 10 years. It's pretty cool.
So did your question about St. Nicholas get answered, or do you have any more questions about St. Nicholas?
No, that's pretty cool. I mean, so there's like from the year 300 to the year 1400, there's not a lot of Christmas stuff, really.
So we're going to probably have to fucking put a kibosh on that shit there. Whoever's in charge of this fucking production, it's the most poorly produced fucking radio station I've ever fucking listened to, personally. But you might like it. So, anyway, we're going on to something completely different. In Holland.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily
This is the Monster Castle Paranormal Radio Show. We explore the paranormal phenomenon with researchers and skeptics from all walks of life and beyond. Fridays and Saturdays, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Visit our website at monstercastleparanormal.com.